We hope that this is the first of many gatherings that bring our schools together to share and learn from one another. The youth of our schools are at the forefront of our minds and the work that we do. We come together to share our curiosity, wonder, and our connection. And we also offer support and encouragement to the students and colleagues as we practice new ways of learning through our relationships with the land and with one another. Please join me in welcoming Sagogwanyopa's Tom Porter. Tom Porter is the spokesperson and spiritual leader of the Mohawk community of Kanajokaleke in the Mohawk Valley near Fonda, New York, which he founded in 1993. He is a member of the Bear Clan of the Mohawk Nation at Akwesasne. Mr. Porter was also the director of the Akwesasne Freedom School and a teacher at both Akwesasne Freedom and the Kahnawake Survival Schools, where he taught Mohawk language, philosophy, history, and carpentry. He is particularly known as a master storyteller in the best tradition of Haudenosaunee orders. Please all come up. Thank you. Also join us in welcoming Virginia Fairlawn, Dan Longbow. Dan is a Turtle Clan member of the Mohawk Nation and a citizen of the Haudenosaunee, originally from Schweigen, the Six Nations community on the Grand River. Dan is an associate professor in the Cheney Wenjack School for Indigenous Studies at Trent University, founding director of the Indigenous Environmental Science Studies program, and acting director of the newly formed Indigenous Environmental Institute. Dan stresses the importance of learning from Indigenous elders and knowledge holders as the critical foundation for Indigenous identity, vision, and life purpose. He creates links between traditional Indigenous teachings and science and promotes using a good mind as part of our responsibilities in taking the collective actions needed to restore the earth for the next 7 generations. I'm going to hand it over to these wonderful men. Enjoy the morning.
Did you want it in the stand or just hold it?
You can just put it on the stand if you, that's probably better. Thanks, Chris.
You see how tall I am? There we go. This one.
I know. Thank you for that. So Dagwanarado se wagwego. Ayawas chisa wadakaride na nasawat sanuni da na gwegos kana. Se roroya gewen ni yang gets kan yang gehagan yak yak doda. Waganyato anora ni wagita roda. So I'm so happy to be here with you today and to introduce to you my great friend and brother, Tom Porter. So Sago Gunyangus. So it's such a pleasure always to see him and to travel and have the opportunity to listen to him. So you're a real big treat today to have him in your presence. And I want to thank all of you for standing up for him when he came in. So now, so Tom, you'd like to introduce yourself a little bit?
Well, I'm glad to see all of you too. When I walked in the door, I thought I was in Hollywood. All the women look so pretty, and the men are handsome. All looks like Hollywood movie stars. And that was nice to stand up. That's the first time that ever happened. That's really something. Thank you very much.
Well, I'm taking Rick Hill's spot today. So Rick was kind of double booked as he usually is. And he asked me if I'd come and be the moderator today in our discussions with Tom. So he formulated a couple of questions here. So I wanted to give the opportunity for Tom to share with you his life and some of the experiences that he's had. So let me get right into these questions and we'll start right away. So Tom, what was life like when you were young in Akwesasne? And how did the people make a living?
Well, that's 80 years ago. And I still remember almost everything since I was a little boy. I grew up kind of a little bit funny because my family, where I grew up, they all talk Mohawk. In fact, my grandmother never went to school, not even one day in her life. And she didn't know how to talk English, except few words. I'm not going to tell you what those words were. You got to be over 18 to hear it. And so, because of that, I have, my mother had, altogether, Grandma had 11 kids. My mother was second born of the 11. And in our house, there's no English talked in our house. Not even one word. And that's how I grew up, with the Mohawk language. Not only just my house, but the whole Akwesasne, when I was a little boy, no matter what house you go to, it's all Mohawk talkers. Kids and everybody just talk Mohawk. And in my generation, when we went to school, about maybe 60–70% of the kids can't talk English. So we had to learn how to talk English when we were little kids, when we went to school. That held us back too, because a lot of time we failed kindergarten because we can't talk English. And we used to get reprimanded too, kind of harshly because of it. So that's my background, is Mohawk language. I never lost it. My grandmother was a Bear Clan woman, and she was I don't know if you know what it is, a seer. She could see for the future, in the past, and she dealt with herbal medicines to doctor people and stuff like that. And when I was a little boy, almost every older man and every older woman had the talent to do that. It was quite common for them to see, especially young people like you. And when I was young like you, they always talk to us and they look into the future for us. If they see anything danger coming, they tell us, be careful this, be careful that, don't do this, don't do that. And all those old men and old women have passed on now. The ones that never went to school, they still retain the Haudenosaunee or Mohawk original way of thinking. And then when residential school come, it took a whole bunch of kids away here to Brantford and Spanish school in Ontario. Took the kids, the only little kids, 4 to 5-year-old kids. Some were even only babies, were taken, some of them. And my grandfather was one of them. He went to school in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. That's where the grandfather of all the residential school, that's the first one, Carlisle. And I guess maybe it's 30 miles south of Harrisburg. And then my great-grandfather, he went there too. And so when those, and others went later on, so those that grew up in the residential school, usually they lost their language. I know my grandpa had lost his language because they took him when he was 4, and he didn't come home until he was 21 years old. And when he came home, he couldn't talk one word of Mohawk. And when he left, he couldn't talk one word of English. So that's what they did. They took away his language. And not only that, they took away the way he believes or his people believes. So he come back. He doesn't know nothing about the ceremonies. He don't know nothing about our traditions. He had to, but by the time I was born, my grandfather taught Mohawk again. Because when he came home at 21, everybody talks Mohawk, every house. And so it's like jumping in the ocean. If you don't swim, you're going to drown. So he learned real quick, I guess. I didn't know he had lost his language. I never knew that until my aunt told me when your grandpa came home from Carlisle, he couldn't talk no more in Mohawk. He had to relearn. But by the time I was born, I never heard him talk English. He had already relearned. I didn't know that. The only time I heard him talk English, if a non-native comes to our house, and there used to be a rally man come with extension when selling medicine. He was, I don't know what he was, Frenchman or Englishman. And so my grandpa would talk English, and I was shocked. I didn't know my grandpa could talk English, but that's the only time if somebody came that I would hear him talk. So that's some of my memory. And I watched my grandma's tale. I loved my grandmother because she could make moccasins. And she had a lot of cows to milk cows and make butter, our own butter. And we had a big garden, every kind of food you want. And then she cans, and then we hook up the horses, team of horses with a wagon, because nobody had a car. The people had a car, but only certain people did. But most of the Mohawks didn't have a car when I was a little boy. When people had them, but it was rare. We had horses, teams of horses. We hook up the horse and wagon, and we go to town, not too far. And fall time, hook up the horses, and Grandma would make biscuit with salt pork and onion on there. That was our lunch. We hooked the horse and go away to the foothills of the Adirondack Mountains. It's not too far, about maybe 10, 15 miles from where my grandma's house was. And we go pick berries, blackberries, blueberries, red, all kinds in the mountains there. And we'd be gone all day with that team of horses. And I remember one time, it was kind of funny. We were picking blackberries, I think it was, and we had to go in American People's pasture where the blackberries is wild blackberry. And that farmer had cows. And my grandmother never wore she called it man's pants. Grandma never wore it like that, slacks. Always just got skirt on. Never wore men's pants. And so we're out there, and we're picking berries, and all of a sudden that farmer's bull, big old bull, comes charging. I mean, go like this and the dirt fly. And so we all run, and I jump under the fence. And first time I seen my grandmother, she's got a dress on, she run and she jumped over the fence. I thought it was just like a Superman's wife. I didn't know she could do that. Right over, she didn't even get caught or nothing, because the bull was chasing her. There's some of my memory.
And for those of you that, have an opportunity to read Tom's book, Tom wrote a book about And Grandma Says. So if you haven't read it, it's a wonderful book to read. And, please, by all means, see if you can find it and include that maybe in your curriculum as well. Because there's a lot of wealth of information in there, a lot of good life lessons as well that Tom was able to share. So, Tom, thank you for that. The next question I was going to ask you was, and maybe you can share with us, what were the early teachings you learned that shaped your life?
Well, because I said I was my grandmother's tale, wherever my grandmother went to, I followed her every time. I don't know if you could say I was her pet or whatever, or she was my pet. I don't know which one. But together, we always together. And because she was a seer lady, she would see for people and they're sick. And of course, that's where I grew up, so I see it all the time. So it wasn't nothing to me, that's natural. And I guess that's where I started to understand about the spiritual things in the world. And then my mother used to be seer too. And then when I was a young teenager, my grandmother gave me the medicine stuff. And she says, can you look in there and see for that person? Of course, I was a little boy, just watching her all the time do that. So she gave me that cup, and I look in there, and I start seeing things in there, what I seen, and she said, just tell her what you see. And she jumped and she said, Holy, you're better than I am. She said, and I was just a kid, and I was just, I thought I seen things, but I wasn't sure. So she said, just say what you see. Don't think about it, just say it. And I did, and that's what she was shocked. But then later on, I got married, and I started having kids. I got 6 kids, 5 girls and 1 boy. That's when my baby started to be born. My grandmother told me not to do that anymore, not to do it anymore, because I got too many kids. It might be a problem for them. So I quit to do that. Once in a while, if there's an emergency, I might try to do it. I have done an emergency, but mostly I quit that too. And I think some of my kids can do that too. They can sense things. You know how a dog, a regular dog, you and I, at night time, if somebody's in the woods not far, you and I can't see that. Somebody in the woods, but that dog knows. And you start barking right away to let you know. And if somebody's way in the woods, nighttime or whatever, that dog can hear them. You and I can't hear them. The dog can do that. They can smell better too. And so that's the way I start to notice things like that. And anyways, that's when I was young. Then I remember one time a man got sick, and he came over to my grandma's house, and she said, you gotta have a bear dance. I was about 4 years old. You gotta have bear dance. And after asking people, nobody can sing for the bear dance. So they said, and my grandmother was good friends with a woman here in Six Nations named Daisy Thomas. I don't know if you ever know her, she passed away now, but she was my best friend too, Daisy Thomas. And my grandmother and her were good friends. So that man got sick, and my grandmother said, you gotta have a bear dance, medicine bear dance. So she said, we got no singers, you know, what's asking for that? So you gotta go to Six Nations or Onondaga and Syracuse, go bear dance, so they have singers over there. So that man that got sick's got a nice car. So he says to my grandma said, I take you to Six Nations and we'll go get that bear dance done over there for you. That's part of how you're going to get better. So grandma invited me, I jumped in a car and I go with them to Six Nations. That was a real treat for me. And we got to Six Nations and we went to our little house. And there was an old man, he's got coveralls on. And in fact, he's in that movie, that one they call House People. The tall man, I don't know if he was this guy or who he was, but he was in some documentary. He's passed away a long time ago. It is the first time I've seen it. They took that man and they put a chair in the middle of the floor. And then that old man, tall, skinny man, he started talking, I think he's talking Cayuga language. And because it was a little different than Mohawk. But I could understand a lot of it because it's close, Mohawk and Cayuga. So he burning tobacco in the wood stove. I was listening. Then when they finished, they put that man in the middle. And those people, I don't know what they were, I was just a little boy. They took that blueberry and blackberry juice. They put it in their mouths. They go around. All of a sudden, and they spray him. I never seen that before. I was 4 years old. That's part of the one. I said, holy, our people know lots of stuff, how to do things. And that's how I started to get really interested and know more and more about it. So every time when my grandmother, I follow her, she talks to those kind of people. And I'm listening, eavesdropping all the time. And that's how come I remember lots of things about those. But I want to share something else with you though, because you're young people. We had a woman, she's from Ganawagi, and I'm so sorry I didn't listen to her before when I was young. My grandmother used to tell me this Ganawag woman there. Her name was Lorraine Canoe. Oh, she was kind of strict woman. If you want to talk about women's rights, she's probably one of the leaders. Nobody can get nothing by her. She was stand up for her rights. Anyways, here's what she told me. This is about 25 years ago. She says, she's passed away now, this Lorraine Canoe. And she was my friend, she belonged to the Wolf Clan. And she talks fluent Mohawk. She says, when I was a little girl in Ganawagi, an old lady asked me if I can take the clothes off the line for her, because she's an old lady. She said, I'm really good. So I went and took all the clothes off the line, and I folded up and everything, and she gave me $1. I didn't charge her, she just gave me $1. And so you know what I did? I took 25%, which is 1/4, and I put it away. I never touch it. And then the 75 cents left over, I bought candy or a sucker or bubble gum or something for me. Then later on, she asked me if I can hang the clothes on the line. And I hang on the line the clothes. And she gave me another $1. And I put another quarter with the other quarter. And 75 cents, I spend it where I want to spend it. She said the other man wants me to cut the grass for him, old man. He gave me money too, and I put 25%. I grew up to teenager. I put 25%. Every time I made money, any kind, no matter where, I always put 25% away, never touch it. Then I grew up and I moved to Brooklyn, New York, with the ironworkers. They almost got like reservation in Brooklyn, the Mohawks. Lots of them, ironworkers. She went over there too. And she went working over there. And every time she got paid, 25% of her check gets put aside. You know something? That woman, I think, was a millionaire. She was. Because later on, when she got old, she moved to Akwesasne, not Ganawagi, to my reservation. And in Akwesasne, they don't have no subway. In New York and Brooklyn, everybody rides subway where they go. You don't need a car. So now she's in Akwesasne and there's no subway. Know what she did? She went to the town Messina and she said to the man, the car dealer, I need a car, a new car. And she says, can you, I'm going to pay you cash for a new car. No installment, pay you cash. Can you give me a discount? Because I'm going to pay you cash. He says, yes. She paid him cash, she got a brand new car. Then she's got to now have a house too. So she bought a house, no mortgage, she paid cash. And her husband, soon as the snow flies, her and her husband goes to Puerto Rico all winter. They had a house there too. That's her money and her husband. Snow melts, she comes back to Akwesasne. That's why I think she was a millionaire. And she told me that about 25 years ago. That's what I did. And that's when I talked to the young people. She said, I tell them, please do that. Try to do that. It takes a little discipline. But once you get used to it, it's not hard to do it anymore. And then when you grow up, you want to get married, you can buy a house like that. You don't have to beg nobody. Yeah, if you want to make a business, you'll have money to do it. Because you save like a squirrel. You know how squirrels do all summer? They gather the nuts and hide it, put it away. When winter comes, they don't have to worry. That's what she said. You're like a squirrel. And so I want to give that. So that's what I did too now. Once she told me that, I was already grown up. I already started family. I had kids already, then I started. At first it was a little hard, but once I got used to it, it was not nothing. And so I built a new house. I didn't have to get mortgage. I'll pay because I saved. And if you can do that, you young people, by golly, it'll help you a lot. You'll be independent too. You'll be your own boss, like nobody boss you around. But you have to save, you gotta watch. And I wanted to share that with you, so. And tell your own brothers and sisters, whoever you can tell in your family to do like that. It'll be a benefit to the future.
Good one. Thank you, Tom, for that. Yeah, a lot to be said for having financial independence and being able to, afford the things that you'd like to have and at the same time have that nest egg for when you get older. Is there any other cultural teachings that, as growing up, all of the people that you were able to interact with and the different communities that you travel with, were there certain cultural teachings that helped to create a vision for you or a sense of purpose in your life?
Well, I didn't even know that we were different as Indian people. I didn't know. I thought everybody in the world is the same. That's what I thought. But in the Indian world, if you're a real Indian, if you have teachings, you were born with that. Everybody that's an older person, like an older woman, the way I was raised in Kudasni, you're not supposed to call them, if their name is Mary, you're not supposed to say that to them, Mary, or whatever. If it's an older lady and you're not related to her, you say to her when you talk to her, Aksutta. You say that, Aksutta, my grandma. Even if you're not related to them, it's just because it's an older lady, it's called respect. You say that, Aksutta. And if it's a man, you say Raksutta, means my grandpa. Then you talk to them. So then I went to ironworking in Chicago in the 60s. I learned ironworking like my uncles and my father. And by the way, my father's from Oswego. That's where the porter comes from. And there's a whole bunch of porters all over the place. They're just like rabbits. They have lots of babies. Yeah, that's what rabbits do. So there's a porter everywhere. Even I try to be a rabbit myself too. But anyways, I went to work in Chicago because my father was working ironwork there. He was a big general superintendent. He ran the jobs, my father. And so I went there to work. And then we went to Gary, Indiana, worked there, and then to Louisville, Kentucky, when I was a young guy, and Evansville, Indiana. And I met an American boy. He's not a Mohawk. He's not Indian. He's a white boy in Evansville. We became friends. So I got lonesome, and I had bought a car too. And I said, I'm going back to the reservation on New York State. I gotta go see my family. So that guy says, I never seen a reservation before. He says, do you think you can go with you? Can you invite me to go? I said, yeah, come with me. You can help me drive my car back there, but a long ways. So he did, he jumped in and he never came to the reservation. So we were going to St. Regis Village. And we went in the house. I says, this is my grandma. And she gave us a tea and some pie. Then we went to another house. This is my grandma. Here. And she feed us. And we go to another house. We told that white boy, this is my grandma too. And she give us a cake, cupcake or something. Give us a tea. We go to another house. This is my grandma. That white boy looked at me and he said, damn, he says, you Mohawks. You got grandma everywhere. I never seen anybody have so many grandma. He says, not us American people. We just got two grandma. mother, father's mother, and my mother's mother. That's it. Here, everybody's grandma. And that's the way we were told. And that's the way we believe too. So there's a big difference right there. And then I want to also share with you, in the Mohawk, how many can understand Mohawk here? Can talk Mohawk, understand? Well, in Mohawk, when you talk to your father, you say Lagini, right? If you're a Cayuga, you say Haki, wait, how do you say? Hatni. Almost same as Mohawk, except Hatni, Ragini. Same root word. So whenever you talk to your father, you don't say if his name is Ralph, you don't say Ralph or Walter, you don't say that. As soon as you're going to talk to your father, you say to him, Lagini. And then he's going to listen to you. And what does that mean, Lagini? It don't mean father. Listen, Lagini, you're saying to your father, it means, the root word is Wahagini, means you loan it to me, I'm living. When you say Lagini, that's what you're telling your father, you loan it to me, my life. So every time you talk to your father, you're telling him that. You're the one loaning it to me, my life. So what does it mean then, besides just that? It means that your life is only on loan. It doesn't really belong to you. So you should take care of it, because it's only loaned to you from your father. And then your uncles, in the Mohawk language, you say, Laginaha'a. Laginaha'a. It's almost the same as Lagini, just one little notch different. And it also means you loan it to me, my life. So our life belongs to our father and our uncles. And that's why we should take care of ourselves, because it belongs to somebody else. And then when we have kids, that's what all my 6 kids call me, Lagini. And when they say that to me, I'm so happy they recognize that. Yeah. So those are differences about that. Then I have an uncle. He's he's not professional. He never hardly went to school, but he loves taking the language, our language, and breaking it into the roots. And one time he asked me, he says, when you say Gala'se'a, what does that mean? He asked me. And I said, it means my cousins, Gala'se'a. Well, he says, it's right, but it's not right. I said, what do you mean? He says, listen to the word, Gala'se'a. The root word is Galat. Galat. Galat means I sleep. Galat, we sleep together. So Gala'se'a means we sleep together. Then I asked him, how come you say that? He says, because when the European came here, all the Haudenosaunee people lived in long houses. And when a woman's daughter marries a man, he has to go live with them, the woman. So he added on another section. And then the other daughter brings her man to live in her house. They add on again, and so the house got long. So everybody who sleeps in that long house, that's why you say, Gala'se'a, we sleep together. It doesn't mean like the European cousin. It's everybody who sleeps in that house. That's what you're talking about. But today, when you ask us, younger one, it just means that it's our cousin because it's our mother or father's kids. But that's not what it really means. All of us who sleep in one house. So when you talk the language, if you go to the root words, it helps you define our history too. It's not just a communication, it talks about our history. So those kinds of things help me to appreciate our language, how powerful it is, And also the old people, we used to tell a lot of stories and so on.
Thank you, Tom, for that. Can you share with us some of your thoughts about the different reasons, like, again, kind of going back and looking at your own personal history, how you, way back in, I guess it was the 70s, in the creation of the White Roots of Peace,
60s.
and the 60s, and then moving on into the 90s and the creation of Gana Jaharege. Can you tell us things that inspired you to be able to do both of those really heroic endeavors?
Well, I remember when I was a kid, I was at the Longhouse at some ceremony, and and when I was a kid, the faith keepers and grandmothers, and mostly grandmothers, were real strict. They don't let you talk one English word or French word in the Longhouse. They said there's a nail outside on the door. Hang your English and French there. Don't bring it in the Longhouse. This is for Mohawks in here. So when I was growing up, I never heard nobody talk English in the Longhouse. But it's changed now. You can hear English in the Longhouse. But when I was growing, no English. So big changes has come to our people. What was that question again?
What was the inspiration to, help create the White Roots of Peace and move
Oh,
to
yeah.
Gana Jaharege?
Yeah, at our Longhouse, I remember too. The old man, I was my grandma's cousin. He was my grandpa too. He was a head face keeper. He's the one used to, when somebody dies, he does the funeral for them, buries them. And somebody get married, he's the one who would marry them. And he did most of the talking, all the ceremonies. His name was Paul David. And he says, there's a day gonna come when our children, our grandchildren, is gonna talk to the world, and the world is going to listen to them. That's what he said. But when I was a little boy, nobody listens to the Mohawks, to the Indian people. Nobody listened. They all think we're crazy or we're not all there. That's the way it is. And in Aguzashi, where I lived, if you go to Port Covington or Messina or Bombay, like that, the towns are surrounding us, they don't really care for the Mohawk people. They don't like us. Sometimes Grandpa works for them because he cleans their barn or handles their livestock, but there's no social there, only to work like a servant. So I said, son, when I heard my grandfather say, a day will come when our children, our grandchildren will talk to the world, and the world's going to listen to them. I shook my head as a kid and I said, nobody's going to listen to us. Nobody's going to listen to grandkids. Well, after all these years later, guess what? Warren Lyons, Irv Paulus, Harvey Longboat, all them guys were in Geneva, in Switzerland, at the United Nations, talking to the world leaders, and also in Manhattan, United Nations. And still to this day, our leadership, their delegations, is talking to world forums. They came true what they said. So that's why I think it's best to listen when the elders say something, not to dismiss it. They know what they're talking about. And the other thing is, one time in 1960, well, it was in the 60s, in the United States, I think it was Eisenhower, I'm not sure yet because my memory's kind of fading away, but it was, I think, Eisenhower. He and others introduced a bill in the United States called the Omnibus Bill. And I don't know what omnibus is, a Greek word or Latin word, but I think somebody told me it means when you hide something, it's real, but you hide it. And so you camouflage it and get it through. So the omnibus bill was going to terminate every reservation in the whole United States. There will be no Indian have a land anymore. They're just going to become like American citizens. They call it omnibus bill. And how we found out about it is we had a friend who was a congressman in Washington, D.C., and he was working with them on that. And he's the one told our leaders, be careful, the bill is coming that's going to terminate all the Indian reservations in the whole United States. So that's the time when our leaders, and I can name them, one of them was, big name is Matt Bear Anderson from Tuscarora. Another one was Beeman Logan, a chief from the Tonawanda Synagogue. And others was Leon Shenandoah, who was a Taradaho in Onondaga, Syracuse. And then the Mohawks Reservation and so on. So they told us, go now, and we made a caravan to go across the country to every reservation and tell them what that congressman told us about omnibus bill. It's going to terminate your land. So get ready. Don't sign any papers if that comes. So that's how we started. We made caravan. And sometime we ran out of money someplace because there was nobody helping us. Just the old chiefs told us to do it. We did. And some of them came with us. We ran out of money. So we had to get our water drum and so we put a blanket on the ground and we danced. The American people put $5 in there. We got money to get gas going on the next day. That's what we used to do. Then sometime we run out of money and then we call back home and the faith keepers and clan mothers would have a pie bingo at the cookhouse. 5 cents and they sell pie or whatever, the bingo. And then they send us money to gas to go to the next place to warn them. So those old people way back were very genius. They didn't have nothing, but they made and found ways to do stuff so that our people would be protected. And so that's what your job is here, you guys. Is the Mohawk language and Cayuga language and Ojibwe language and Lakota language going to become extinct? That's up to you. If it's going to become extinct, like a dinosaur, never to be anymore. It's on your shoulder. Me, I got 6 kids. And my 6 kids, I married a Choctaw from Mississippi. And you know the reason I married my wife? Part of it is I loved my grandmother, and she never went to school, and she don't know how to talk English. I said, someday when I get older and I'm going to get married, I want to marry somebody just like my grandma. And so I found it in Mississippi through medicine, because grandma found her. And she said, that's going to be your wife. It's not from here, where the sun goes down. So that's how I got married. So my wife talks fluent Choctaw, never went to school too. So my 6 kids, they talk fluently Choctaw, and me, I talk Mohawk to them all the time. So they talk also Mohawk. Then they learn English later. So my kids are not bilingual, they're bilingual. They talk 3 languages. Yeah. So I did my job. So now that kids and their kids, grandkids, they have to, when they get married, are they going to keep the language going? Or are they just going to let it go? That's why our survival is in the young people's hands. You're the next mothers and fathers. How are you going to teach your kids? What are you going to teach your kids? That our nation should keep on going and the fire still burn? then you better raise up your sleeves. And my grandmother is a real longhouse woman, and my uncle too. And they said, no drugs, no alcohol. Anything that changes the way you're naturally thinking is forbidden in the real India. And so I also tell you that, I will verify that. The reason why, because I love my young people. I don't want you to get hurt. I don't want you to get confused. And all that mind changer stuff, especially now, it's everywhere. It's in the city, even the European people do it. Sell it. And then our people sell it too. That's not right. Keep a clear mind. Don't hurt your people. Don't hurt yourself. You got a big job to stay clear, keep a good mind, keep a good clear eyesight. Because if you do, then your kids will have a chance to have a good life. And you must protect them. Anything come towards them, you're ready to protect them with your whole life. That's what my grandma did to me. That's what my mother did to me. So, you guys are precious, your age. You can run fast, you can move fast. Look at us two old men, we can't run anymore. We've got no more second gear, third gear, just only first gear. But you guys got high speed, use it good though. Use the power you got for good things. Don't use drugs of any kind. Me, I never touch the alcohol. I never touch the marijuana, nothing. I just drink water and, I like Pepsi though. That's all.
Thank you, Tom, for that. Throughout the time that you've shared a lot of your experiences and your teachings with people all across the country, one of the things that was really inspirational to me was one time when you talked about a dream that you had. It was about the old leaders and that dream that you had when you were called to a meeting and you saw all of those old leaders there. Can you share that with us?
Yeah. Well, I used to sit as one of we had one chief, who's actually Kando chief. His title was Tahana Kaline, which in English translates to horn leader. And his name was Ira Benedict. He wasn't too tall. For a Mohawk, he was very small. I used to wonder, how come he's so small? He was a Kando leader. And he passed away when he was, I think, 98 years old. But he had been a Kando leader in our longhouse for over 60 years. And so as he got older, his hearing was, can't hear good. And so when in our constitution of tradition, a chief has to have a good hearing, a good eyesight, and has to be healthy. If they lose those, they can't really be leader, because you need all that power to lead the people. And so when he became hard of hearing, he can't go to the council meeting because you don't hear them what they're saying. So the clan mothers put me there as they call it Lalundanupna. I was to take care of the tree, and the tree would be in the chief. So I'm the caretaker of the tree. That's what it means, Lalundanupna. So I did that for 25, 30 years. I sat in council in his place. So whenever the council made something decision, I had to go to his house on Cornwall Island and tell him everything what they did, because he's still the chief, even though he's dead. So I had to communicate to him everything. And so then all of a sudden, It's because I was on the council, we had 2 civil wars. And I'm not kidding you. I'm talking Civil War, where Mohawk fight Mohawk over gambling, over casinos, all kind of stuff. Younger people want to bring it because it makes money. And our values is going to be trampled on. And so the people fought it, and so we had Civil War. So I had a heart attack over it, because some of the people I grew up with, they joined the other side. They want the money. And they pulled the rug right under my feet. I didn't know they would ever do that. I thought they were true. They did. And I had a heart attack over it. Pretty near died. And so that's when the doctors in Syracuse told my grandmothers, you gotta get him off there. No more political strife, because next time it's gonna kill him. I think I was 49 that time when that happened. So I haven't been onto a council even yet to this day since that time. Then the grandmothers and chiefs told me, even though you don't come to council, when somebody dies, you can help the funeral, to talk at the funeral, to bury them. Or if somebody gets married, we'll come and see you to help us marry the people. I said, okay. So that's all I've been doing, is that kind of stuff. Nothing political. So I didn't go to meetings anymore, even right to this day. And I was sleeping in the Mohawk Valley, me and my wife. All of a sudden, it was dark. And somewhere a voice come. And here's what it said. Auksa sa kisko. Danga sa tknisahana ayera. That's what the voice said. It woke me right up, and I sat up in the bed. And I looked around, and who came in the room? And there was nobody. And the voice came, and I looked over here, and my wife's laying over here in the bed. And I look over here, and I seen a black oval. You know how old pictures, they don't have square frames? It's oval. It was black, oval, darker than the night. That's the one talking. It says, hurry up, get up. You gotta go to a meeting way over there. That's what he said. But he's talking Mohawk. And I know I'm not supposed to go to meeting anymore. So I want to tell him, I know he's of spirit. I don't know if it's creator or it's creator, spirit helper, I don't know. Could be creator too. And I don't want to go to the meeting because I know I'm not supposed to go. But I don't know how to tell him no without hurting his feelings. So I pondered, how can I diplomatically tell him no? Then I came to the conclusion, there's no diplomatic way to say no. You just got to say no. And so I, all the power, I'm ready to tell him no. And don't be afraid to say no. But by that time, him and I were walking shoulder to shoulder. This is me, this is him. And it's just a oval blackness. He's talking to me. And we're flying in the air. Our legs not moving. Our arms not moving. But we're moving in the air. Hovering by our, I don't know how. We're traveling. Pretty soon we got to Syracuse, Onondaga, where the Onondaga live. Their longhouse is right there. And it's still dark. And we're standing up at 10 foot above the ground, just there in the air. And he says, behind the Onondaga's longhouse, there's a big field, a lawn. They usually place fireball or medicine ball there to heal people. And here it's still dark. It just started to get light. And he says, Dosakta Tika Ishinaba Ona Niyut. I want you to look over there and tell me what you see. And it's dark, so I look real good. I said, I can't. I see lots of people sitting on the ground, men and women, in the whole field. And the men has blankets across their shoulder, this way, and tied on the side, the men. They're sitting on the ground. And women have sitting on the ground, and they have shawls on their head or on their shoulder. But I can't tell because it's too dark who they are, their face. I see their outline. And this time get a little bit lighter, but still dark. He asked me again, how siya ba sa tkatan? Daklodi no da was at tkatan. Look again and tell me what you see this time. Should I look? And I said, I see Jake Thomas. I see Josie Logan. Both of them, the father and the son, and his wife, Verna. I see Corbett Sundown from Tonawanda Chief. And Leon Shendo, they're all dead. I seen also, he says, Jake Swamp. He's passed away. Ronnie LaFrance. Oh, he says, Tkayegi. It's right. That's them. They're gone. But what he's talking about is those I just mentioned, their blanket was on the ground. They didn't wear it because they're dead. So he says, look again. And I'll look again. And I start laughing, real laugh. He says, no, the naga, you stairs, no, your stairs. What is it? What do you? I says, because I seen Tom Porter sitting there. I seen myself. And I looked funny. And I laughed. He says, that's you. But pretty soon, the blanket you're wearing is going to be on the ground too. That means someone died. But I don't care because I'm old enough now. I can do it if I want to. Not afraid. So then, here's what he said. The reason I came to see you is because when you go somewhere to talk, they invite you to talk. Lots of people likes to come there to hear you talk. That's why I came to see you. He says, and I'm going to tell you, and I want you to tell the people this too. He said 65, 70 years ago, all the longhouse almost ready to die. There was only a handful of leaders running the ceremonies and attending to the business of the people. Just handful. And they were old. And when they die, all the young people are gone to school, universities get master's degree, bachelor's degree, and PhDs. Men are working in Brooklyn and Chicago and Los Angeles. Relocation. No young people in the longhouse learning how to take over when they die. So when they die, the doors of every longhouse is closed forever. No more. And not just the Haudenosaunee too. Ojibwe saying, Lakota saying, no young people to take over. He says, I'm going to make an example. 65, 70 years ago, you're all in a big canoe, all Indian people, and we're on the Niagara River. And you know how fast Niagara River is, and the kids and everybody's in the canoe, and we're this far from the Niagara Falls go over, the whole bunch. And then we go over, that means extinction. No more ceremony, no more Mohawk, no more Lakota, no more Ojibwe. We're all done. But we got no more language, no more knowledge. Wouldn't listen. But he said, I didn't want that to happen. So he says, well, you don't know this, but 65, 70 years ago, he said, I walk, I get up, I go there to Six Nations, I go to Akwesasne, I go to Kahnawake, I go to South Dakota, Arizona, Montana, and I come there and I go like this with my hand, then I go like this, my people. And when I did that to them, to you guys, I put an energy in there and the wherewithal that you can use to think and hear what to do. And when I hold you like this, I empowered you like I recharge your body so that you can move and you can do something what you're thinking. That's how come there was a Kahnawake Survival School. That's why there was a Akwesasne Freedom School. That's why in Grand River they got Mohawk immersion, Cayuga immersion, and also so like that. Pretty soon, the next one, White Roots of Peace. Then people start rebuilding roundhouses. And from nobody sitting in a roundhouse when I was a kid, except old people, handful. Now, when you go to a roundhouse, any roundhouse, don't care where, midwinter, there's no place to sit. It's full packed. Just in the 60, 70 years. It took that long to find our young to bring it back home. It took 70 years. But the only reason, and he says, so when you travel somewhere, you tell the people that. He says, and but pretty soon, all of that people that's got the blanket and shawl on, there will be none of you left. All blanket and shawl are going to be flat on the ground for a little while. Everybody will die. But after some time have passed, under those blanket and shawl that's on the ground, little babies will be born under them. And when the babies are born under them, they will wear those blankets. And those women will wear them shawls. And when they do this, when it's that time, that voice, that black oval says, I'm going to give them 7 times more power than I gave you guys 70 years ago. I'm going to give them 7 times more power than I gave you guys in order to make White Roots of Peace, survival schools, freedom schools, survival, everything. If you want to see the Mohawk, Ojibwe, Tuscarora, Arapaho, Navajo, Ojibwe, 3 fires of their nations burn again. Wait till those kids are born. And so I see that now. But the thing of it is, your generation or your kids' generation are the ones that's going to be given that power. It's not just our people, it's also the white people. Kids are going to be given that too. So the power is going to be in your hands. And I just ask you to do it right. Don't use it for the wrong reason. Use it only to help the people so that peace can come to the world again. And that's how come when that old man said, a day will come, when I was a little boy, our grandchildren will talk to the world and the world will listen. And with this residential school stuff and stuff like that, there are generations of old people, because they went to residential school, are ashamed that they're Indians. They're ashamed and embarrassed about ceremonies. There are different elders that don't want nothing to do with ceremony. They think it's evil because that's what they were taught. And that's what colonization is about, is to make us disown our own self. That's why we've got a lot of alcohol now amongst our people. Lots of drug killing, suicide, because of that. But if we know who we are, alcohol can't be us. If we know who we are, drug can't be us. If we know who we are. Because if we know who we are, then we walk hand in hand with the Creator. They give us that power. And so, that's the story about the prophecy that came to see me. Remember I was saying that my grandma was a seer? And I used to do that too. And I think that's how come those things come to me, to tell the people that. Oh, and you know what he said too? Don't forget to tell people when they come to hear you. There's a few left from 70 years ago, 65 years ago, they're still living. He says, don't forget to address them. He says, tell them. I thank them. Many layers of thank you to them because they listened to me and they used the power I gave them to do wonderful things, and they did a real good job. So to those that are left, we say thank you to you.
You know what, Tom, for that. Just kind of keeping in mind on the time, we got about 5 minutes left before we have to break for lunch. In that short period of time, what advice would you give to the youth about the role of culture in helping to make good decisions?
Well, the first thing I'm going to say to every generation, whether they're old, middle-aged, or young people, the same thing is don't be ashamed of if you're a Mohawk or a Ojibwe or a Cree. Don't be ashamed, because that's the way the Creator made us. And you shouldn't be ashamed of something the Creator made you. Find out also everything about our beliefs, our ceremonies. Find out what it means. Don't believe the colonizers when they say it's evil, heathen, pagan, because they said it in order to destroy us. And if we believe it, we destroy ourselves. So that's the biggest thing is, don't ever be ashamed of who you are, and give your grandma and grandpa's old great-grandma and great-grandma a chance to live again through you. And that's the biggest advice I have to you. Never be ashamed. When you look in the mirror, you see a Mohawk, you see a Ojibwe, a Cayuga, be proud of it. Because the Creator did a good job when He made you.
Well, now Tom, for that. I want to thank all of you for your kind attention today, and I want to thank, in particular, our great friend and teacher Tom Porter today for all of his sharing. So, if I could ask you to join me in celebrating him and showing our appreciation for him.
Can I say one more thing? Can I say this, one more thing for you? You can take it with you home and share it with your younger brothers, sisters, whatever. This is a young man did the opening a while ago. I was so happy to hear that. He's do that. That's really something. Thank you very much. But that's a longer one. There's longer ones than that too. But my grandmother taught me a short one. It's real easy that I've been using for almost all my life. I think I was maybe a 4-year-old kid or 5 years old. I can't remember now. I was a little boy. I was sleeping in her bed because it was cold. And Grandpa got up early in the morning and he made the fire so the house could get warm. But they let the fire go out those days because it's hard to cut wood. And then when the house is warm, Grandma gets up and she cooks for everybody. And then when she cooks, she comes and she wakes us up. I'm laying in her bed under the quilts. And she go like this on my shoulder. Yeah, she, grandson, time to get up now. I finished, I cooked and you better come and eat. And then she says to me, as she's rubbing my shoulder under the blanket, she says, that's the big words for a little boy. But I knew what she meant because I hang around with her all the time. It wasn't a little big word for me, even though it was big for others. And I said, yeah, that means no one. Because she means, did you acknowledge the Creator? And I said, no, because I know she does it. I know my mother does it. And all my uncles do it. I'm just a kid, so I don't have to do it yet. Oh no, she says, Jini sauna, yodahanjana, asadawins. Doga saktoka, aksaska angololi, ansqueni. That means if you're a smart guy, I tell you only one time and you'll know how to do it. If you're not a smart guy, I have to tell you 7 times in 1 week or 30 days in 1 month, and then you'll get it if you're not too smart. That's what she said. She says, did you know that there was one window in that bedroom? In that window, the rays and the light of the sun come in that window. He found you that light. And did you know the light or the rays of the sun are the fingers and the hands and the arms of our Creator? Do you remember that? She said, the rays or the light of the sun are the fingers, the hands, and the arms of the Creator. And you, as you lay asleep under that quilt, that Creator found you laying in that bed sleeping. He grabbed you and he crushed your whole body from the top of your head to your feet, because He's our Father and He loves us. And He did that to your grandpa this morning. He did it to me, my grandma. He did it to your mother. And not only did He do it to everybody here in this house, He went to the barn. He hugged all the horse, the cows. He even went to the pig pen, and every pig He hugged them too. Because the light or the rays of the sun are the fingers and the hand and the arms. Creator of us. No matter who it is, you and me, every day, that sunlight that holds us, they surround our entire body. So what are you going to do about it, grandson? And I said, Doga. Means I don't know. I'm only a kid. Here's what you do. Real simple. You don't have to do that long one. Long as you're sincere. Yahweh was skepticism. Know what's going on. That's all you got to say. Now get up, put your pants on, and get really busy. What you're going to do all day. What does that mean? What to say? Yahweh means what? Thank you. Waskadishon, you're the one who made me. What Gunapalado means I send you greetings and thankfulness and kindness and love. Thank you, you who made me. I send you my greetings and love. That's all you got to say. Now put your pants on. And so every day since I was 4, I've been saying that. Then I got 6 kids. They're all grown up. They're parents now too. And they say that every day too. And then I got great-grandson. He's only that big. Just got done wearing diaper. And he come to visit. And he run past my bed and I go look, sneak up on him. And he's at the window in Mohawk Valley. And he's looking out the window and he says in his little voice, Nyawan, what's got this on? What's going to hold? And I cried. Because Grandma taught me that 70-some years ago, and now great-grandson is doing it yet. So grandma never died. She still lives. And that's what I want to share with you. So every morning, that's easy. Thank you. Even if you talk English, just say, thank you. You who made me. I send you my love and my hello today. Now you're set to go. Yeah. Yeah.
Yo.
Yo, again, Tom, for that.
Yeah, wow. Amazing, amazing. We also have just extension of our gratitude. Now, again, we have a couple gifts to share with you as well. So, again, let's give them another round of applause, everybody.
Now, I think what's more responsibility and more
Now, thank you for your attention this morning. Before we go, we have to send our well wishes with Dan as he travels back to Trent to teach about us. We thank you for your time with us. I want to thank the coordinators, the cooks, the staff, and our students, our future elders. Now on to you. I'm going to close just the morning part with these thoughts, these words. All that we are is story. From the moment we are born to the time we continue on our spirit journey, we are all involved in the creation of the story of our time here. It is what we arrive with, it is all that we leave behind. We are not the things that we accumulate. We are not the things we deem important. We are story, all of us. What comes to matter then is the creation of the best possible story we can while we're here. You, me, us, together. When we can do that, and we take the time to share those stories with each other, we get bigger inside. We see each other. We recognize our kinship. We change the world one story at a time. That's why we're two lovelies, you know?
Yo.
We just wanted to also remember the protocol around when we get food. The elders always go first. So we just ask Mr. Moore and Angels to help our guests off stage. This is our time to share and just be with one another and enjoy our food. After that, we'll have the social, and then Angel's going to close at the very end of the day. So now, for your attention this morning, wash your hands.